The text came through at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was lying in bed next to Michael, his arm draped across my chest, his breathing soft and steady. I felt the vibration of my phone on the nightstand before I heard it. Unknown number. I shouldn't have opened it. Something in my gut screamed not to look. But I did. And in that single moment, everything I'd built, everything I'd fought for, everything I thought was safe and buried in my past, came screaming back. We know who you are. We know what you did. We have videos, photos, everything. 10,000 CDs in 3 days, or Michael gets a package. Don't be stupid. Don't go to police. We'll know. My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Michael shifted beside me, pulling me closer. "You okay, babe?" he mumbled, still half asleep. "Yeah," I whispered, my voice betraying me with a slight crack. "Just work email. Go back to sleep." He kissed the back of my neck and rolled over. I sat there in the dark, my heart pounding so hard I thought he'd hear it. $10,000. 3 days. My entire life balanced on the edge of a blade. I got out of bed and locked myself in the bathroom, sitting on the cold tile floor with my phone, reading that message over and over like if I read it enough times, it would change. It wouldn't. This was real. This was happening. And I had no idea how it got here. Let me take you back. Let me tell you where this really started, because you need to understand that I didn't wake up one day and decide this was who I wanted to be. Life doesn't work like that. Desperation doesn't give you choices. It takes them away. I grew up in a neighborhood that you probably wouldn't want to drive through after dark. My mom worked 3 jobs, came home with feet so swollen she could barely walk, and still we were always one emergency away from being on the streets. My dad left when I was 7, and honestly, that was probably the best thing he could have done because at least he wasn't taking money out of our house. I wore the same 5 outfits to school, rotated them, washed them on weekends. I didn't have friends over. I didn't go to parties. I studied because it was free, because it was the only escape I could afford. University was supposed to be my way out. I got a full scholarship, which sounds amazing until you realize that full scholarships don't cover living expenses, food, transportation, or the 1,000 little things that cost money. I was 18 years old, 3 hours away from home, living in a dorm room with a girl whose parents had a house in the Hamptons and unlimited spending money. She'd order delivery pizza at 2 a.m. like it was nothing. I was eating ramen for dinner and sometimes breakfast too. I got 2 jobs immediately. Work-study during the day at the university library and nights at a grocery store stocking shelves. I'd finish my shift at midnight, come back to the dorm and study until 3 a.m. Sleep for 4 hours. Do it all again. My grades were incredible, straight A's, because the only thing I could control was how hard I worked. But I was falling apart. I lost 15 pounds that first year. My hair was thinning. I'd fall asleep in class sometimes, just crash in the middle of a lecture. That's when I met Miriam. She was in my sociology class, always impeccably dressed, always had the latest phone, always seemed like she was floating through life while the rest of us were drowning. One day I was sitting alone in the library, crying silently because my mom had called about an emergency root canal she needed and didn't have money for, and she just sat down next to me. "You okay?" she asked. I should have said yes. I should have lied. But instead, I broke. I told her everything. My mom, my jobs, my poverty, my exhaustion. She listened without judgment, and then she did something I'll never forget. She took me to her apartment. It was beautiful. Not mansion beautiful, but to me it might as well have been a palace. Hardwood floors, large windows, real art on the walls. We had wine. I'd never had wine before, and she told me her story. She came from money, but her family was controlling, strict. She'd rebelled by using her beauty and intelligence to play a different game. She had sugar daddies, older men who paid for her company, her time, sometimes physical intimacy. She made in one night what I made in a month. She was paying for her education in cash, helping her mom, living a life while I was suffocating. "It's not that bad," she said, swirling her wine glass. You meet men. You're smart and beautiful and they pay you. It's transactional. You know what you're getting into. You set the boundaries. It's not romantic, so there's no heartbreak. It's actually powerful. I was horrified and fascinated simultaneously. I couldn't, I said immediately. But even as I said it, I was calculating. If I did what Miriam did, I could quit one job. I could sleep. I could actually be a human being. You could, she said simply. And you'd be good at it because you're smart. You wouldn't get caught up in it like some girls do. You'd see it for what it is, a job. It took me 6 weeks to say yes. 6 weeks of lying awake at night, thinking about my mom's tooth, thinking about the heating bill, thinking about how I was 20 years old and already felt like I was dying. In those 6 weeks, Miriam introduced me to her network. Older men, wealthy, discreet. Some were genuinely just lonely. Some wanted someone to go to dinners with, events, places where having a young woman on your arm mattered. Some wanted sex. I was terrified, but I was also desperate.